Welcome to section 2.5, Privacy Basics. In this lesson, we'll explore one of the most important responsibilities in AI, safeguarding personal data. AI systems rely on massive datasets that often represent real people and their lives. Mishandling this data creates not just technical problems, but also legal, ethical, and reputational risks. And now here are our learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define and categorize PII, explain the privacy risk matrix, differentiate anonymization and pseudonymization, describe DPIA purpose and contents, and link privacy to ethics and compliance. So PII basics. Personally identifiable information, or PII, is any data that identifies an individual. This includes clear direct identifiers, like a full name, but also less obvious indirect identifiers, like a zip code, job title, or date of birth. Some PII is especially sensitive, such as medical conditions or financial details, while other data may appear harmless at first glance. However, AI systems can combine datasets in ways that reveal identity unexpectedly. The safe approach is to assume that any piece of personal data carries re-identification risk. If it touches a human, it deserves careful handling. So PII categories. PII can be divided into categories. Direct identifiers are single data points that uniquely tie back to an individual, such as a social security number or email address. Indirect identifiers don't reveal identity alone, but when combined, for example, a zip code and birth date, they may. Sensitive PII refers to high risk information like medical history, financial accounts, or biometric data. These carry a heavier burden of protection because exposure can cause lasting harm. Context also matters. A birth date might be low risk in one dataset, but highly identifying in another. Privacy is always situational. Privacy risk matrix. A privacy risk matrix is a simple but powerful tool. It plots the likelihood of a privacy incident against the severity of its impact. A low likelihood, low impact event might involve anonymous survey data. A high likelihood, high impact event could be a breach of patient health records. Using this framework ensures organizations don't rely on guesswork or gut feeling. Instead, they can prioritize protections where they matter most. Strong encryption, access restrictions, or monitoring in high impact cases. It also creates documentation that auditors and regulators expect to see, proving that risks were considered systematically. So, anonymization means removing or transforming identifiers so individuals cannot be linked back to the data. In theory, this should be irreversible. In practice, complete anonymization is hard to guarantee. For example, Netflix released anonymized movie ratings for research, but investigators cross-referenced them with IMDb reviews and re-identified specific people. This case illustrates how combining datasets can defeat anonymity. While anonymization lowers risk, it's not a free pass. Organizations must still consider the possibility of re-identification, especially when large amounts of public data are available for comparison. Pseudonymization replaces identifiers with artificial labels, like turning Alice Smith into user 123. This reduces the chance of casual exposure, but the original identity can still be restored if the lookup table exists. Unlike anonymization, pseudonymized data is reversible. However, it has a practical advantage. It allows researchers and engineers to continue analyzing data while lowering immediate privacy risks. Pseudonymization is widely used in AI pipelines, particularly during model training, where the data needs to be useful but less directly tied to real individuals. It's a valuable tool, but not a guarantee of privacy. DPIA basics. A Data Protection Impact Assessment, or DPIA, is a structured review carried out before beginning projects that process personal data. Its purpose is to identify privacy risks, evaluate the potential harms, and plan safeguards before problems occur. Regulations like GDPR require DPIAs for high-risk processing, such as monitoring individuals at scale or handling biometric data. Even where they aren't mandated, DPIAs provide a strong framework for accountability. They show that privacy risks were anticipated, documented, and managed. For organizations building AI systems, a DPIA signals responsibility and builds trust with users. A DPIA should cover several elements. First, the purpose and scope of the processing. What data is being used and why. Second, the types of data collected and which groups of people are affected. Third, the risks identified, along with assessments of how likely and how severe they might be. And finally, the DPIA must outline the safeguards chosen to reduce those risks. These may include data minimization, encryption, or stricter access controls. A well-written DPIA ensures privacy isn't an afterthought. It becomes part of the project's foundation from the start. So to summarize, we explored how PII is categorized into direct, indirect, and sensitive forms. We saw how the privacy risk matrix balances likelihood and impact, and how anonymization and pseudonymization reduce but never remove privacy risks. Finally, we looked at DPIAs as proactive tools for embedding privacy into design. Privacy is not just compliance, it is the foundation of trust. Thank you.